We are given a sequence of letters, and they will be sequential up to a point, at which case there will be a letter missing, and the next letter will be provided next. Our job is to find that missing letter. So there's a few ways we could do this. We could use an array index and compare it through an alphabetical array, but since we have these helpful links to string.charCodeAt and string.fromCharCode, it's probably a good idea that we get used to these methods. They're kind of nice methods to learn. So, quick rundown of how these work. If we have a string, we can use the method .charCodeAt and the index. In this case, it's index 0. There's only one character here, so the only index is 0. And that will give us the ASCII code back. Now, you don't need to know too much at the moment what these ASCII codes really are. The one thing you really want to notice is that they are sequential, in that the first one corresponds to A, B, and goes all the way through the alphabet, one number increasing at a time. So there's always going to be a difference of 1 if these character codes are in fact sequential. A and B, difference between 97 and 98 is 1. Again, difference between 98 and 99 is 1. Negative 1 if you look at it that way, but we are going to go in the other direction. So with that in mind, let's see how we can approach this problem. Once again, it's a problem where we have to go through the letters one at a time. Since we are going through something or iterating through something, we're going to want to construct a loop. So let's start with that. And declare our variable I, and we are going to set it to the number 1 and not the number 0. Since we are going to be comparing each letter to the letter before it, we wouldn't want to start at the first letter because there is no letter behind that to compare to. So var I equals 1 is appropriate in our case, and our condition I is less than string.length, increment as usual. So we want to check, using these charCodeAts, if the difference is equal to 1, because if it is, like we looked before, it is indeed sequential. And what we really want to check is that the difference is not 1, because if it's not 1, then it's not sequential, and we have found our letter. So we'll start with our variable string dot charCodeAt, our variable I, which we'll keep going through, minus string str dot charCodeAt I minus 1, which is the index that came before it. So if those are not equal to 1, we have found a break in the sequence. So that's step 1. And step 2 is, how do we find the correct letter? Well, the correct letter is just one number greater in its ASCII code than what came before it. So at this point, our current index is the wrong letter. So we want to go back to the last correct letter, which is string.charCodeAt I minus 1. And we want to add 1 to it again, which seems kind of confusing, but think about it like if we had A, which is 97, and that returned 97 here, then we would add 1 there to get 98, which would be B. So that's where our capitalized string constructor from, I almost forgot to spell for a minute, from charcode. And this, which is usually invoked on the string constructor, allows you to pass a number into it, and from that number it will return the character that it corresponds to. So it's the other side of this encoding and decoding. So we can pass this whole equation into it. This will give us, again, that letter that is 1 up from the ASCII code, and this will return the correct character. So we can actually just go ahead and return that entire statement. Of course, here we can return undefined, because as the instructions say, If all letters are present in the range, return undefined. This works because we can only get here if we have successfully gone through the entire string without ever triggering this block here. If we do, we just break out of the function early and it will return this equation here. Let's give that a run. And we are to the nines. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was informative. Please let me know if there's anything else that would be more helpful to learn in this video. Feedback like that will help improve these videos and hopefully enhance your educational experience.